Welcome back. This is True Crime Lounge. If you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe. Today, we are continuing on with our little mini series called The Frustrating Case of Madeleine McCann. Yes, that's the name I gave it because this case is so frustrating. Like, I have more questions than I do answers. Like, I want to know. Someone out there knows what happens to this little girl. They know. But no one has decided to come forward. Please come forward. But yeah. Um, Today I really want to dive into the timeline of this case so we can get a better understanding of it and everything. But to begin with that, we're gonna have to go back to May 3rd, 2007. Okay, and this was a Thursday, so this was the daytime activities the McCanns did. So um, so May was like the day of the family holiday, and over the breakfast, Madeline would ask, "Why didn't you come when my brother and I cried last night after the disappearance?" Her parents wondered whether they meant someone had entered the children's room, and her mother also noticed a large brown stain on Madeline's pajamas top. Not strange, right? You're not going to ask about that? Now, the children spent the morning in the resort kids club, and then the family lunched at their apartment before heading to the pool, and Kate took the last known photograph of Madeline at 2:29 that afternoon, sitting by the pool next to her husband and 2-year-old sister. Now, the children returned to the kids club. Then at 6 o'clock, their mom took them back to 5A, while their dad went for a tennis lesson. The McCanns put the children to bed about 19 minus 12, around 1900. I don't feel like doing military math. I'm sorry. But anyway, Madeline was left asleep in a short sleeve, pink and white, Marks and Spencer's Eeyore pajamas, next to the comfort blanket of her soft toy cuddle cop. Then it was at 20:30. I'm sorry, I've got to look that up. That's gonna bug me now. Put my calculator, put my trusty calculator out. Then at 8:30, the parents would leave 5A to go dine with friends at the Oceans Club's open-air tapas restaurant located on the other side of the pool. 5A would be about 180 feet from the restaurant as the crow flies, but getting to the restaurant involved a walk along the public square to reach the doors of the Ocean Club resort. Then, walking through the resort, and then the other side of the pool, which was a distance about 295 feet. Now, the top of the apartment was visible from the Tapas restaurant, but there was no doors, and the patio doors could be locked only from the inside. So the McCanns left the closed door unlocked with the curtains drawn so they could let themselves in without checking the children. And there was a child safety gate at the top of the steps from the patio and a low gate at the bottom of it. Now, the resort staff had even left a note message in the swimming pool reception area asking that the same table which overlooked the apartment be blocked booked for 8:30 for the McCanns and their friends that evening for the last four evenings of the holiday. Now, the message said that the group's children were asleep in the apartment, and Kate believes that the abductor may have seen the note. Now, the McCanns and their friends left the restaurant roughly every half hour to go check on the children, and Jerry carried out the first check at 5A around 11:05, about 9:05. Where the children were asleep all as well, except for he recalled having left the children's bedroom door slightly ajar, and now it stood almost wide open, and he pulled it nearly closed before returning to the restaurant. At 11:15, there was a Tanner sighting, and basically, This was the sighting of Jane Tanner, one of the Tappas Seven, of a man carrying a child that had become an important part of the early investigation. Tanner had left the restaurant just after 9 o'clock, to go check on her daughter, passing Jerry and Rua. Um, and Rua. On the way back to the restaurant from his 9:05. Why do I keep wanting to say 11? But his 9:05 check, and he has stopped to chat with the British holidaymaker. But neither man recalled having seen Tanner. This puzzled the Portuguese police, given how narrow the street was, and would lead them to accuse Tanner of having invented the sighting. Now Tanner would tell the police that at 9:15. Why do I keep wanting to go 11? Around 9:15, that she had noticed a man carrying a young child walk across the junction, um, of and everything just ahead of her. Now he was not far from Madeleine's bedroom, heading east, away from the front of 5A. And in the early days of the investigation, the direction in which he was going was thought to be important because he was moving toward the home of Robert Murat, a 33-year-old British Portuguese man who lived near 5A, and who had become the case's first suspect. Now, the child in the man's arms, wearing a light-colored pink pajama set with floral pattern and cuffs on her legs, similar to Madeleine's. Let's keep that in mind. And so, Tanner would describe the man as a white, dark-haired 5'7", um, 5'7", of Southern European and Mediterranean appearance, and who was about 35 to 45 years old, wearing a gold and beige trousers and a dark jacket. And he said that he did not look like a tourist. And according to Kate, Tanner passed the information to Portuguese police as soon as Madeleine was reported missing. But they did not pass the description up to the media until May 25th, and Madeline's funds hired a forensics artist to create an image of the man, which was released October 2007. Now, the sighting became important because it offered the investigators um, a time frame of the abduction, but Scotland Yard as it came to view as a red herring. In October 2013, they said that it was a British holidaymaker that had been identified the man that Tanner seen, and he had been returning to the apartment after collecting his daughter from the Ocean Club night crash. Now, Scotland Yard took photographs of the man wearing similar clothes to the one that had been worn that night, and by standing on a post similar to Tanner, and the pajamas his daughter had been wearing was also matched Tanner's report. Now, Operation Grange leads Detective Chief Inspector Andy Redwood said that they were almost certain the Tanner sighting was not related to the abduction. Yeah, my face exactly. Now, at 10 o'clock, there was a Smith sighting, and the rejection of the Tanner sighting was as crucial to the timeline, which allowed investigators to focus on the sighting of a man carrying a child on the night of Madeleine's disappearance. And this one was reported to the Portuguese police on May 26, 2007 by Martin and Mary Smith, who had been in Praia da Luz on holiday from Ireland. Scotland Yard concluded that in 2013 that the Smith sighting offered an approximate time of Madeleine's kidnap. Now, the Smiths saw a man at 10 o'clock as on Rua de Escola Primaria, which was about 460 miles from the meters. Um, from the McCann's apartment, walking away from the Ocean Club toward Rua's 25 de Abril and the beach. He was carrying a girl aged about 3 or 4, and she had blonde hair, pale skin, and she was wearing light-colored pajamas and had bare feet. And the man was in his mid-30s, 5'7" and 5'9", slim to normal build, with short brown hair, wearing cream or beige trousers. He did not look like a tourist, according to Smith, but He also has seemed a bit uncomfortable carrying the child. Now, Ethan based Smith's testimony, where first created in 2008 by Oakley International, private investigators hired by the McCanns and were publicized in 2013 by Scotland Yard. Now, at 10 o'clock, also at 10 o'clock, she was reported missing, and Kate had intended to check the children at 10:30. At 9:30, by but Matthew Oldfield, one of the Tappas Sevens, offered to do it since he was going to go check on his own children in the apartment next to 5A. He noticed that the McCann's children's bedroom door was open, but after hearing the noise, he left 5A, looking far enough into the bedroom to see where Madeleine was there. He could not recall whether the bedroom window and its exterior shutter were open at this point, and earlier into the investigation, the Portuguese police accused Oldfield of involvement because he had volunteered to do the check himself, suggesting that to them that he handed Madeleine to someone from the bedroom window. Now, Kate made her own check at 5A at 10 o'clock, and Scotland Yard stated in 2013 that Madeleine was probably taken moments before this, and Kate recalled entering the apartment and through the unlocked patio doors and back and noticing that the children's bed was door was wide open. When she tried to close the door, it slammed shut as though there was a draught. There was a drought. When she saw that the bedroom window and shutter were open, Madeleine's cuddle cat and blanket was still in the bed, but Madeleine was gone. After briefly searching the apartment, she ran back toward the restaurant, screaming, "Madeleine's gone! Someone's taken her!" At 10:10, Jerry sent Matthew Oldfield to ask the resort reception desk to call the police. And at 10:30, the resort activated a missing child search protocol. 60 staff and guests were searched until 4:30. The first assuming that Madeleine had wandered off. One of them told Channel 4 dispatch that from one end prior to alerts to the other, searchers began calling Madeleine's name. Now, what about the early response? Well, um, two police officers from the Grenadier and then the Guardia National Republicans, the GNR, would arrive at the resort at 11:10 from Lagos, 5 miles away. And after midnight, after briefly searching, they alerted the criminal police, the Policia Judiciaria, um, in nearby Portimay, and Kate recounted that the PJs arrived at just 1 o'clock. According to the PJs, they arrived within 10 minutes after being alerted, and at 2 o'clock, two patrol dogs were brought to be escorted. And everything. And at 8 o'clock, four search and rescue dogs and the police officers had their leave canceled and started searching waterways, cells, wells, caves, sewers, and ruins around the place. Now, Inspector Gonzalo Amaral, head of the PJs there, began inquiring the coordinators. Now, it was widely acknowledged that mistakes were made during the so-called golden hours soon after the disappearance, and neither border nor marine police were given descriptions of Madeleine's. Sorry, y'all. I am halfway asleep. It's not because of this case. It's because I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep right now. So please bear with me. But they were not given descriptions of Madeleine for many hours, and officers did not make house to house search. According to Kate, roadblocks were set up in about 10 o'clock the next morning, and police did not request motorway surveillance pictures of the vehicles leaving the night of the disappearance. Weird, right? or of the road between Lagos and Villa Real de Santo Antonio on the Spanish border. Now, Euroscrut said that they were not approached for the information, and it took Interpol 5 days to issue a global missing person alert. Not everyone in the resort at the time was interviewed, and holidaymakers later contacted the British police saying that no one had spoken to them. Interesting, right? I would say so. But the crime scene was not secured. Portuguese police took samples from Madeleine's bedroom, which were sent to the forensics lab, and it was reported on June 1st, 2007 that the DNA from one stranger had been found. But around 20 people had entered the apartment 5A before it was closed off, and according to the chief inspector, according to Kate, an officer placed a tape on the door of the children's bedroom, but left at 3 o'clock. Without securing the apartment. And the PJ King case file, released in 2008, showed that the 5A lay empty for a month after his disappearance, and then let out the tourists before they sold it off in August 2007 for more forensics tests. Now, a similar situation arose outside the apartment when a crowd gathered by the door of 5A, including next to the children's window, through which the abductor may have entered or left, trampling on evidence. An officer dusted the bedroom window exterior shutter for fingerprints without wearing gloves or other protective clothing. Now, what about the British police on this? Well, in the UK, it was agreed that Madeleine's home force would coordinate the British response, although it remained in the Portuguese inquiry. Now, a strategic coordinating group of the gold was put up and everything. Now, and the British police were used, yeah. And I lost my spot. I'm so sorry. The Gold Group, which was just representing the Leicestershire Police in a serious organized crime agency, the Child Exploitation Online Protection Centre, the National Police Improvement, gave the British team a room to work with, but apparently resented their presence. And the British police were used to feeding their data of homes too. In Portugal, the information was collected in boxes, and the information had less autonomy than the police in the UK as well. But that is it for part 2 of this episode. I will see y'all next time. Y'all have